Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you may be, or good evening or good night. This is Jen at JensArtyInclinations, a place to create, share and play. Hello. It feels like forever since I've done a video. I am really sorry that they're not very frequent at the moment. But let's run through. We're going to prepare an altered book, and I'm just showing you some of the altered books that I've already done. Now, sometimes I leave some pages in. So this one, I haven't taken it right back to the base pages, and that's so that I can have these extra pieces inside. And this other one, I've added pages after, so I've taken it back pretty close to the base pages, but there's still a couple. So see, I've kept the sewing intact just so that I can have a couple of extra pages up from the base pages. Now you'll see what I mean once we start ripping it apart. But as you go through, you can take it right back to the base pages that are actually all attached to each other. And this is just another version. Again, I kept a couple of pages, so I didn't completely rip all the sewing out, just to do a little bit more fun. So I love doing these little half pages. I love doing graduated pages. I love doing little window flip throughs. And we only take pages out so that we've got room to play and bulk up the pages, whether it be with paint or extra pockets. So that's why we thin them out first. Now, first thing is what you don't want. This is a book that you can gut to use as a cover. However, you can't use it very easily for an altered book. All of these pages are individually glued in, so they're not actually sewn in. See how there's a big gap there? So we don't want that. What we actually want is pages that are all sewn in. Now, this big one I've taken right back to the base pages, and the one on the right is the one that we're going to do exactly the same. So if you have a look, all of these pages are attached. Now, I have kept the sewing in, but I can actually rip out all those threads and the book won't fall apart. So what I've done is I've taken out the middle of all of the signatures. So each of those little sewn pieces are called a signature, and I've taken out all the middle until the last one that's attached. I think I've actually... There is a lot happening in this house at the moment, and I may need to do another one of these later, but look, it's going to give you a good idea for a start. So you can see there's little mounds that are all sewn in, and between each of those signatures there's a thin strip of glue close to the spine that holds the last two, or the outside pages of each of the signatures together on a lot of these books, which means that you can tear out these middle pages just like this, and you can tear them right out to the base. So when I'm leaving pages in, this is what I do. I'd simply tear them out. When I'm taking it right back to the base, however, I'll tear out another one here. When I'm taking them right back to the base pages, however, what I actually do is I rip out the thread. And that is the easiest way to work out what you want to take out. So there's lots of ways you can do it. I'm just using a lovely paint spatula there. You can use, a pokey tool if you're very careful. You can use a bone folder, the end of a bone folder, just to lift your thread and then snip it out. Sometimes if you're very careful, you can even just grab a pair of tweezers and even just pull the thread out from the spine, but just be careful. So like this, just be careful when you're doing that. Sometimes it will pull apart a little bit more than what you intended. So realistically, all you're wanting to do is get that thread out of there. And in a sec, you'll see why. So I'm just doing the last one here with this awesome little, little set of tweezers that just holds itself together. You squeeze it when you want to open it. So that's really handy when you want to hold a piece with your pair of tweezers. So I'm just cleaning it up, just snipping off the last of the thread here. So I'm taking up all the threads. This actually had quite a few. See, now you just lift out the pages. So that last one doesn't want to lift, so therefore it's attached to the rest of the pages. And then I like to just use my bone folder just to smooth it all back down. If I've got any little rough bits, I can pick them up off it as well. So, bone folder to the rescue again. You know how much I love my bone folder. Alrighty, just, trimming, fussing, that's all I'm doing. Now, if I go over a couple of pages, it's usually 2 pages, then you'll get to the next pages that you can lift out. So now I'll just pretty much speed through the rest of it, but all you're wanting to do is you're then just taking out your threads again, but you can see that it all is quite easy from this point. You just go through the whole book, gently take your pages out. Now see, when you rip them, you do actually get a little bit of a rip in the middle, whereas when you don't rip them, you get a bit more of an intact page with just a few pinholes in the middle where the sewn thread is through. So that's kind of nice, because sometimes we like to use double book pages for, you know, creating of all of our ephemera. Oh, and this is where I discovered, oh, how cool, this new pair of tweezers I got actually has a light. And considering this fine detail, I'm realising I am not seeing as well as what I used to. So that little light is quite handy. So there you are. I decided I'd just go easy on myself with the last few, and I'm just ripping them out. And, you know, voila, you actually end up with all these beautiful book pages that you can use for all your other projects. You can use them to make pockets. You can use them to make flips. And towards the end, you'll find you can actually just snip it like this. So you can actually sort of just lift that signature a little bit and snip the threads underneath. That's what you end up with. Isn't it wonderful? So then what I'm doing is, there are just a couple of little pieces that I've accidentally torn a little bit too much, and I've torn them a little bit away from their other page. Easy fixed. You can use some washi tape. I'm adding glue on the back. I did a glue stick and then I did art glitter glue just to make sure it holds down. However, you can just use use your glue. You can just use masking tape. That's a pretty good one, or even cloth tape. The nice thing about that is you can add another little bit of an effect. Obviously, you want to make sure it's down quite closely. I didn't measure it exactly, because all I do is I just snip the top and the bottom, and then you can get it exactly to size. So see, just a little snip. I was pretty close though, wasn't I? So going across, that one in the middle is fine. But then the one on the other side, it just needed a little piece as well. So this is another way that I like to do those reinforcements. Sometimes I do this on every page just to add a little bit more, make it a bit more robust sometimes. However, just showing you, a couple of different things you can do. So just tore off the edge of one of the book pages that I tore out. So I know that that is the exact same height as the other book pages. Neat, right? And then I'm just folding that in half. So one of the easiest ways is just run your bone folder along a little ruler, just eyeball it halfway, and then you can get your score line a little bit easier and just reinforce it. So just press down that crease. And then what I like to do is vintage it up, because I generally have that kind of look. But this isn't necessary. You could leave it nice and crisp, and it's obviously the same colour as the other pages because you've used the book pages that you pulled out. And so, it could almost look like it disappears. I liked to actually, ink it around the edges and give it that extra vintagey sort of look, covers up all manner of errors that I've made. Because I'm a bit, haphazard and rough. And then I just glue stick it on the back. I do a little bit of art glitter glue as well. I'll do it on both surfaces, and then I just literally press it down in that spine. So you obviously want to make sure it goes into that crease so that you can open your book nice and flat and still close it up beautifully again as well. But there you are, all repaired. And now it's part of the effect that I can actually decorate when I go to play with these pages. And I might do anything with these pages. I could, paint them. I could do some blackout poetry. I can do flips and flaps. I can cover them up and put other pieces over them. I like to make my own backgrounds, so, I can use those as well. And just to keep the consistency in the book, I actually didn't do too bad a job on this. They were all quite nice and secure. So all I did was I just inked the centre of them. And there you go. That's all it is. So now you've prepared a book to be an altered book that you can go and play in. Enjoy. I'd love it if you could leave me a comment below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed what you saw today. And of course, please subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you next time. And in the meantime, keep creating. Enjoy.